If you're a woman in her 40s and 50s and you're feeling like your body is being unpredictable, your metabolism is downshifting, and maybe you're questioning the roles that you've played and your sense of self or your identity. You are not imagining this. This isn't random, and you are definitely not alone. I want to break down and distill what's happening on a deeper level because this is metabolic, this is biological, this is neurological, and it's also deeply personal to you. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Christy. I'm a women's health doctor, an integrative coach, functional medicine practitioner. And in the 20 years that I've been in practice, I have observed this. I have seen this over and over and over. So, what I want to talk about for today is first, I'm going to talk about three main sections or three main shifts that I see in women, but they're all deeply connected, intimately connected. And so, the first thing, the first shift that is the most obvious or the most prevalent would be hormonal shift. So, for women in their 40s and 50s, these are the perimenopause and menopausal years. For some women, it's they start having hormone fluctuations and therefore symptoms in their late 30s. And so for a lot of women in this stage of their life, there's a significant hormonal shift that, as I just mentioned, will cause not only physical symptoms, but also emotional and psychological symptoms. So the two main, actually, there's three. There's three main reproductive hormones here. We've got estrogen, progesterone, and let's not forget about testosterone. Testosterone is incredibly important, and it's definitely a part of that reproductive sex steroid hormone production. And so with the hormones they're fluctuating, they're going up, they're going down, they're staying the same, going back to baseline, going back to normal or your normal. And this causes an assortment of symptoms, including menstrual cycle changes, the timing of it, the sequence, the rhythm of it, bleeding changes. It can lead to skipping periods or maybe a longer bleed, or sometimes there's a longer time in between menstrual cycles. And so every single woman is very unique. And I say that with all the respect. Every woman is very unique in what symptoms she will have, not only during her menstrual cycle or during those reproductive years, usually several decades, but also with regard to perimenopause and menopausal symptoms. And when she finally stops bleeding for 12 months and it's not coming back, that would be menopause. That's also unique to each woman. So, what's also happening during this time is there's a lot of nervous system dysregulation. So, we've got our brain, we've got our nervous system, and what's happening is because of the fluctuation in those hormones, or eventually they significantly drop, that will affect things like your neurotransmitter production, serotonin, dopamine. It will also affect cortisol, one of our adrenal gland stress hormones. And that can often lead to nervous system dysregulation, feeling like you have, where that dance and that balance between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, the fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and the parasympathetic, the restoration, the repair, the sleep, feeling grounded and safe and calm, that dance gets disrupted a bit. Sleep gets interrupted or fragmented. Cortisol becomes not quite as predictable. And cortisol, what happens there is there's something called resilience or stress resilience, where when we're younger, we can typically rebound much more efficiently, more readily from stress. Stress is inevitable, acute stress, even chronic stress. During these perimenopausal years, as the reproductive hormones are dropping and fluctuating, it can lead to less stress resilience or less stress recovery. Maybe women are noticing that they're a little bit more hypersensitive, hyperreactive, maybe crashing a little bit more, like energy crashes in the afternoon. and feeling like your body just can't recover as sharply from anything stressful, whether it's emotional stress, physical stress, health stress, injury stress, etc. And so the next significant shift would be that there's more of a metabolic health and cardiovascular system shift as well. So, metabolic health has to do with how we extract our food, how we extract nutrients from our food, and then also how we metabolize and break down stored reserves of nourishment and fuel, stored energy in the body to use that to basically provide fuel or energy for the body. So, either we're getting it from our diet, or our body is breaking it down, our reserve forms. So, metabolic health there's a lot of different key players here. We've got our thyroid gland, we've got our adrenal glands, we've got our digestive, gastrointestinal system. Every system is deeply connected. It's not like one thing controls metabolism, everything is connected, including the brain. And so, with regard to metabolic health, because there are changes in these reproductive hormones and there might be a shift in cortisol, a lot of women will notice that maybe, and you're not going to necessarily feel this, that your thyroid is low, but a lot of women will experience low thyroid, low conversion of T4 into T3, the active form. That can lead to lower energy, that can lead to hair loss, that can lead to body temperature changes. There are things like with the drop in estrogen during perimenopause and menopause, a lot of women will notice that the fat gets redistributed to their midsection. That can also be related to cortisol, too much cortisol, and then that can also lead to increased appetite or increased cravings for refined carbohydrates. But a lot of women will notice more abdominal fat taking up residence, which most women don't appreciate that. And so there's a change in energy, there's a change in fat distribution. Then maybe for some women, they start noticing that their digestive system isn't working as efficiently, bowel movement regularity. So maybe dysbiosis, maybe difficulty digesting certain foods, maybe a little bit of mild constipation as well. And so, with regard to cardiovascular health, perimenopause, more so menopause, where the period has completely stopped. Heart disease is a leading risk factor for menopausal women, and in some cases, perimenopause. And just for clarification, perimenopause it could be anywhere from a few years to maybe 10 years or 15 years, where the hormone levels are fluctuating, they're dropping in preparation for menopause. And so cardiovascular health is definitely a risk here. And so LDL cholesterol, the low density, the more heart disease causing lipoprotein particles, LDL cholesterol, low density lipoprotein, ApoB, apolipoprotein B, lipo A or lipoprotein little a. Those are markers that will often be seen on an advanced cardiolipid panel that you're not going to see from a basic standard lipid panel. So it's really imperative that you get an advanced cardiolipid panel or a cardio IQ panel, sometimes is what they're called, that really shows more of a detailed, comprehensive summary of even more lipoprotein particles, C reactive protein, insulin, cortisol, lots of other pro inflammatory markers, and so forth. With my clients, I typically order a very comprehensive, detailed, generous custom panel that I created in conjunction with a particular lab that has all the reproductive hormones, the advanced cardiolipid panel, the advanced thyroid panel, cortisol, prolactin, iron panel, of course, a complete blood count, hemoglobin A1C. There's lots of other markers there because I really want to get, kidney function. I really want to see what's happening with all body systems. And so it includes a lot. So it gives me a deeper insight, and therefore it gives the patient deeper insight into what might be happening in addition to the symptoms. And so the third thing, or the third significant shift for a lot of women in this time, is there is a shift in what women value. There's a shift in what women appreciate. There's a shift in the roles that you've played, whether it's wife, mother, maybe a certain business role that you've played, a role with your family members, with your parents, with your friends, and so forth. And then there's this sense of identity, your sense of self, your self concept, or how you view yourself, perceive yourself, see yourself, and how others see and perceive you as well. And so that identity tends to shift during this time, letting go of outdated identities or roles that just no longer support you, they no longer serve you, you no longer identify with them, because as you are changing and growing and evolving just in your own life with new interests, changes, upgrading your life, hopefully making positive, significant changes, that identity starts to shift as well. And that can be fantastic for you and very freeing for you and very, what's the word, very aligning and authentic to you, but it can be very disruptive to other people who are not used to seeing you in that way. And that's where some of the difficulty and the friction maybe develops a bit with other people. So a lot of women are noticing that they are craving a deeper sense of community, maybe upgrading friendships, personal, intimate relationships with partners and other members of your community, maybe travel a little bit more and maybe changing careers as well. A lot of women are changing careers altogether, whether it's working in a different role, in a different professional career role, or starting a new business, or letting go of what used to light you up, what you used to be passionate about at one point, or maybe you never were. Maybe you chose a career or a business because that's just what you were told to do, or that was encouraged, or that's just what you thought was the most secure and the most, or the safest, or would bring you the most money. So a lot of women are deciding, or maybe you chose a career that didn't bring in a lot of money. Now you're actually wanting to choose something that is going to be more lucrative, but also more fulfilling. So maybe more fulfilling work, maybe more philanthropic volunteer work. Again, it's really about coming home to yourself, your true self, that knows what truly makes you happy, and what, the saying, follow your heart. It's not just a cliche, and that's not just a nice thing to say. It's truly about listening to what feeds your soul, what expands your heart, and what makes life more delicious, and what makes life more meaningful and fulfilling. So a lot of women are really stepping into this new phase. And whether that's, I don't think it's a coincidence with regard to these fluctuating, dropping hormones. A lot of women have a little bit more of a direct pursuit in what is most important to them. And instead of being a people pleaser, a lot of women are really more focused on self care and self compassion and self honoring, and going after what you need in your life. That's not to say that you are disregarding what other people need and being careless with other people's needs and desires. That's actually not what I'm saying at all. It's really about including yourself in that giving to others, but also giving to yourself in a way that is supportive for everybody. And so what I really love about this time is that there's this term midlife, and I don't like the term midlife because I think it sounds really, really old. And I mean, it just sounds like, oh my God, midlife. Am I at the midway point of my life? It just sounds very grave and very antiquated. And so I love the term women redefining what's possible. Women redefining what's possible. And so when you redefine what's possible, you can do this at any phase of your life. You don't have to be 40 or 50 or 60. You can do this sooner. You can do this much later in life, but you get to redefine. You get to continually curate your life. You get to continually create your life. and you get to redefine it in whatever way satisfies you or aligns with you or resonates with who you are now and who you're becoming, because that's also probably going to change in the next several years as well. Who you are today is not who you're going to be potentially in, the next half of your life or the next few decades of your life. So what I also want to emphasize here is this time is kind of going back to the first, hormonal nervous system shift, and then the metabolic health and cardiovascular system shift, and this identity shifting as well. This becomes a ripe opportunity or a prime opportunity to really become more aware of what's deeply happening in your body, really tuning in, becoming more conscious about the symptoms that you're having. That's why I love mindfulness practices and meditation and getting quiet as much as possible, or listening to very soothing, grounding music that's going to slow your brain waves so you can tune into your higher self, your intuition, your internal compass, and find out what your body, listen to what your body is trying to tell you and communicate, and really, really honoring that, in whether it's changing your diet, eating more nourishing, rich foods, changing the way that you exercise, changing your, letting go of things in your life that no longer nourish you, that no longer support you in every way. That could be rituals, practices, that could be people, that could be jobs, that could be circumstances of knowing when to release and let go. Boundaries is also a big one as well. So this is really a time of empowerment. It's a time to become more aware, more conscious of what's happening with your body. And if you're not sure, totally fine, totally normal. That's why we have people like myself who study this. I research this. This is my special craft. This is my special sauce, as I like to say, is perimenopause and menopause. So this is talking to somebody who knows advanced lab testing, who knows about all the different symptoms, not just related to hormone changes, but all the other body systems as well, is to talk to somebody who really understands women's bodies and what's happening during this time. And then to become more resilient and become more adaptable to these changes, and therefore make these necessary changes, adopt these changes, implement these changes that need to be made. And so that's where that self empowerment, so self awareness, self resilience, and then self empowerment, so that you can go navigate through this time in your life, but also continue on with the rest of your life, feeling more confident and feeling like you have a much better capacity for carrying this, and knowing that you can make changes along the way, and that you can redefine what's possible in your life, in your health, and in your business, or your career, and in every aspect of your life. That is it for today. If this resonated with you, please be sure to subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Share this with a friend or a family member who would benefit from hearing this information. If you want to work with me personally one-on-one, you can reach out to me with the link below, and I will be sharing much more information about this phase of life, plus some other fun, amazing topics as well. We'll see you next time.